Hello, in this video I'm going to give you a landscape photographer's basic guide to monitor calibration and using the Fotospeed printer profiling service. So in this video we're going to cover two things. We're going to cover monitor calibration and profiling and also using the Fotospeed printer profiling service. But why am I doing all these things? Why am I putting so much effort into calibration and profiling? Well, for me it's just for my personal satisfaction. Even though I'm not a high volume commercial printer, I want to make sure that the photographs that I edit on my monitor and then subsequently output them to my printer, the colours are as accurate as possible. I don't want to have to keep reprinting stuff just because the colours don't match or it doesn't quite look right on the screen. I just, for my personal satisfaction, want to make sure things are as accurate as possible. So all that colour accuracy doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be expensive. Sure, there are, if you look in the web and you look about colour management, there are amazing number of articles there that go into all sorts of technical depth. That's not what I'm about. I think some of the things I'm going to show you in this video are relatively straightforward and relatively inexpensive for you to implement so you can increase the color accuracy of your images. So let's talk about monitor calibration and profiling first. Now you notice I've used the word calibration and profiling. They aren't actually the same thing. So monitor calibration is about setting my monitor to a neutral output, making sure that the white balance is right and that the brightness is correct as well. And profiling is about measuring the color output of that monitor and then adjusting it to make sure that the colors displayed in the screen are accurate. Now, if you want a bit more detail on the differences between calibration and profiling, Fotospeed have written a really good article on their blog that describes in detail the differences between calibration and profiling. Now, if you want to read that article, I'll include a link to it in the video description below. So let's start off with monitor calibration. So monitor calibration for me is about setting the white point and the brightness of the monitor. Now I'm lucky enough to have an ISO monitor, so I can use the bundled Color Navigator software to set those values for me directly into the monitor without actually having to go into the on-screen menus. Now I use a white point of 5500K and I set the luminance value or the brightness of the monitor to 100 candela per square meter. Now the candela per square meter is a unit of measurement of luminance or effectively brightness of your monitor. Now if you don't have those specific values that you can dial into your monitor, just try turning down the brightness. It's one of the big problems with printing is that sometimes you look at your image on a really bright monitor and then you print it out and it comes out a lot darker. It's because your monitor likely ships from the manufacturer with the brightness turned right up. You want to crank that right back down again. It may look strange at first, but honestly it will make the brightness accuracy between what you see on screen and what you see when you print stuff out a lot more accurate. I'm also lucky to have in my ISO monitor a built-in correction sensor. What this correction sensor does is it pops up every sort of a few hundred hours of use and it remeasures the white point and the brightness of the monitor and makes sure that the values that I've actually specified are still accurate, and then it will make some hardware adjustments to ensure that that calibration remains accurate. And one more thing just before I move on to profiling my monitor, I just want to have a quick mention about color spaces. So your main color spaces are sRGB and Adobe RGB. Now if you want to know a bit more information about those different color spaces and when to use them, again there's another really good blog article on the Fotospeed's website. I'll pop a link for that in the video description below as well. So now that I have my monitor calibrated, or at least got the brightness turned down and the white point set, I've already made some big strides towards getting more accurate color output. But the next stage is to profile the monitor. Now for me, I do this using a relatively inexpensive device called a Color Monkey display. I'll put an Amazon link to that product in the video description below. Now the Color Monkey display device does a number of things. It obviously profiles my monitor, but it also has an ambient light measurement, so it can adjust that profile as it maybe gets darker or lighter in my room. It also measures flare against my monitor, and it also reminds me every month or so, or whatever time you set, to re-profile the display. So let's have a quick look at how it goes about profiling. So it's really easy to use the Color Monkey display. I simply just open up the software and I go to profile my display. I'm going to pick the easy option for photographers because even though I can go in there and I can change all sorts of custom values, I want to keep things as simple as possible. So I'm just going to go for the easy option. First of all, it measures the ambient light and then I attach or place the device onto the monitor and it runs a test. It takes about 5 minutes, displays various colors and it measures the output of those colors. And then once it's done, it creates a profile based on what it saw on the screen and what it should have seen. And then that profile is put into the operating system so that when your computer boots up, that color corrected profile automatically loads, and therefore your display should be displaying accurate colors. So now that I've calibrated and profiled my monitor, I should be looking at a display that has accurate colors and has the correct level of brightness. Now, monitors change over time, so what I do need to do is I need to repeat the process of profiling and calibration about every month or so, just to ensure that my display still remains as accurate as possible. Okay, now that I've got my monitor all sorted out and I've got a nice accurate display, let's have a look at printer profiling. Okay, so let's talk about printer profiling. We want to profile our printer for the same reasons as we want to profile our monitor. We want to measure the color accuracy of the output of the printer. So there are a couple of ways I can go about profiling my printer output. The first one is to have a dedicated profiling device. Companies like X-Rite make them, but they're not exactly inexpensive, shall we say. They're a bit more of an investment. And I think if I had a higher volume print output and I was using a lot of different papers and I wanted to do a lot of profiling, that might be worth the investment. But for me at this stage, I don't think it's worth the investment. So this is where I'm going to look at the other option, which is to use a profiling service. Now, anyone who's been watching my channel for a while now knows that I've been doing a little bit of experimentation with papers, trying out different papers from a company called Fotospeed. I picked up quite a few of their test packs. I've been looking at matte papers and gloss papers and panoramic papers. It's been quite an exciting time for my printing journey. But one of the great things about the Fotospeed papers is they offer a free printer profiling service. As I've just mentioned, I've been using a few of the different paper types from Fotospeed from their test packs. But from all those test prints, I've kind of selected a couple of papers I would actually like to buy and use in greater volumes. Now, while I've been generally pretty happy with the color accuracy of the output from my calibrated and profiled monitor, it seems to match what comes out in the printer, I thought, well, why not use the Fotospeed's free printer profiling service? Let's see if I can just take that accuracy up to the next level. After all, it's free and simple to use, so what have I got to lose? So let's look about how we go about using this service. So the first stage is to visit Fotospeed's website. I'll put a link for the URL to where to get these utilities and forms in the video description below. But on that webpage, you'll find two download links. One is the profiling pack, and in that contains the booking form, the instructions, and the color test chart. And there's also another link for the Adobe print utility. And this is a very simple print utility that allows you to take that test chart and print it out. So inside one of those download files, you'll find the instructions. Now, I'm pleased to say the instructions are clear and concise. It's got some well laid out steps. It shows you how to use it, whether you're using PC or Mac, or whether you've got a Canon printer or an Epson printer or an HP. I found them really straightforward. It had nice screenshots, showed you which boxes to tick for your printer setup to make sure that the print test page that's going to come out of your printer is exactly what Fotospeed are expecting. But all you have to do is open up the Adobe color printer utility, load up that color file that came with the profiling pack download, set all the printer options as they are in the instructions file, and then hit print. And that takes a little while, and it prints out a color test chart that you'll use to send off to Fotospeed. Now, it's probably worth pointing out at this stage that that profile page that's just been printed off is actually specific to that combination of printer, ink, and paper type. So if you're going to use different paper types or even the same paper on a different printer, you need to print off a separate profile page. It doesn't cost any more, it's still a free service, but you just need to bear that in mind because the different inks from the different manufacturers will interact with the different paper types all in different ways. So you need to have a separate profiling page for each different paper, ink, and printer combination. So once you've finished printing out all your profile and test pages, you need to clip them together, fill out the profile booking form, and put them in a stiffened A4 envelope. Strongly recommend that you use an A4 stiffened envelope because this will stop the print test pages either getting bent or damaged in the post. Now, I've printed off all my profile test pages, I've put them in an envelope, and I'm just about to head up to the post office to send them off to Fotospeed. Once I get them, they will profile each of those test pages and create a custom ICC profile. They will email those out to me, and then I will, in the next part of this video, I will show you how to install them and how I'm going to use them in my print workflow to get some really accurate color output. Hello and welcome back. Now, just before we get into installing and using these custom ICC profiles, there's a couple of things that I forgot to mention in the previous part of the video. So the first one is generic profiles. Now these are the profiles that I've actually been using for my printing with Fotospeed papers for a little while now. And to be honest, I've got some really good accurate color output from them. So if you go into Fotospeed's website, and I'll put a link in the video description below, look up your printer make and model and the paper type that you're using, you should find a generic profile for that combination. So you just install that and use that when you do your printer output, and you should find that goes a long way to increasing your color accuracy. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video though, I just want to take it to the next level and get that last bit of color accuracy out of my solution. That's why I'm using the custom ICC profile service. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that Fotospeed will also profile papers or non-Fotospeed papers. Now, there is a small charge for this, but I think if you want to increase the color accuracy of your output and you don't want to invest in your own solution, this is probably money well spent. Now, details of which papers they do charge for and which ones they don't charge for, I'll put a link in the video description below for as well. But if you buy Fotospeed's paper, there's definitely no charge for that service. So I've now received my custom ICC profiles from Fotospeed, and I have to say I was extremely impressed by the speed of the service. I posted that envelope with my sample papers in it, I think on Saturday about 12 o'clock at the post office, and by just before 4 p.m. on the Monday, I'd already received those custom ICC profiles in my email. So I don't know, they must have got that, I don't know, about 10 o'clock on the Monday morning. I sent it first class, and then within a few hours they're already in my inbox. So in terms of speed of getting those custom ICC profiles, that was really impressive. But let's now have a look at how we get those profiles installed into the system. Okay, so let's get these custom ICC profiles installed. Now, when you receive your email with your ICC profiles, there's also an attachment there that has all the instructions on how to install them. So it's got instructions for both PC and for Mac. Now, I'm a PC user, so I'll be showing you on screen what I do in the PC world. In terms of steps and easiness, it's fairly straightforward for both platforms. The first thing I do is those custom ICC profiles come as attachments in the email. I'm just going to save them to my desktop, and then I'm going to right hand click each one and select install profile, and that's pretty well as difficult as it gets. I can then use those in Photoshop or Lightroom, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using them Canon's Print Studio Pro software. So why don't we jump on there and let's make a print. So I've been having a look through my Lightroom catalogue trying to decide which image I'm going to print, and what I've decided on is I'm going to print this image of Trevose Head in Cornwall, one of my favourite locations to go and capture seascapes, and this is one of my favourite images from this location, so I'm really excited to be printing it. The paper that I'm going to use today is the Platinum Gloss Art Fibre. This is a super high quality paper, exhibition standard. It's got a really nice weight about it, and I think the image will suit this paper type particularly well. Now, I've got Print Studio Pro already open. Now, I've gone through and I've set most of the options up already. So I've configured things like the paper size, which is today is going to be A4, set it to glossy. But the key thing here is the printer profile option. I've gone down, and from that list, I've selected the custom ICC profile that I installed for this particular paper type. Now, handily, the files when they arrive have the paper type and your name in the file name, so that when I go down and select them from the drop-down list, it's easily identifiable for me. So this one has got Platinum Gloss Art Fibre and then my name. So I know that that's that custom ICC profile for that particular paper type for me. So with all those options set, I think we're ready to hit the print button. So here we have the final print, and doesn't it look great? I'm really happy, and this is one of the best bits about photography for me, is getting to make prints like this. And I think this image looks absolutely fantastic on this paper. And of course the colours are highly accurate. It's exactly how it looks on my monitor, so I'm really pleased with the quality and the accuracy of the output. A really nice image, and one that I'm happy to hang on my wall. So there you have it, there's my complete calibration and profiling workflow. Yes, it requires a little bit of effort, but I think the effort that you put into things like this can really deliver great results. I can be confident that the image I'm looking at on the screen, the colours are accurate, so that when I go to hit print, I know that the print is going to come out how it looks on the screen. So let me quickly recap the workflow. First step is to calibrate your monitor. This is really about turning down the monitor brightness and trying to set a white point if you can. Once you've got that nice neutral output, you can use a device like a Color Monkey display to profile it, and this will give you accurate colours from your display. The next stage is to profile the printer. Now, because as I said, I use Fotospeed's paper, I can make use of that free printer profiling service. It's quick, it's easy, it makes a lot of sense for me to use it, and it of course increases the color accuracy of my prints. Now, while my workflow could be a lot more complicated and a lot more detailed than this, I'm not a commercial printer, so this basic workflow that I've got here really suits my needs, and hopefully you've seen some of the tools or processes that I've got in this workflow, and hopefully you can implement them too to increase your color accuracy. But if you do want to know a little bit more information about profiling and calibration and color spaces, do check out those Fotospeed blog articles that I mentioned earlier in the video. The links for those are in the video description below. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do consider hitting that like button. And of course, leave me a comment. I do try and read and reply to everyone's comments. And if you've got your own calibration and profiling workflow, please do let me know about it in the comments as well. And if you did like this video, also do please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, remember to click on that bell icon as well. That way you'll receive a notification as soon as I post up a new video. But until the next one, I'll see you then.